Welcome to The Eyes of Indigo with your infinitely curious hosts, Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Our show is broadcast live at 9:30 p.m. Wednesdays. Socio-spiritual topics are laced with humor as we discuss weird stuff in a rational way. Learn more about us in our first episode, The Prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now. And here we are.
Good evening. Hello. We are marching on through August. Can you believe it?
No, I cannot.
It is freaking August. It was January last week.
I know. I want summer back. I want to start over. I like fall. And I don't like the hot days of summer, but I love the longer days. Hey, Lisa Clark Klein, there she is. How are you?
Lisa, dear. Good to see you again. You like the longer days. I like the shorter days. Think about it. I'm a night owl, so I like the longer nights.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm a night owl too when I'm allowed to be. You know, if I'm on my own schedule, then I keep the same hours you do. But I kind of like the longer days because then I don't feel like I'm missing so much when I'm awake all night. You know what I mean?
That's true too. That's true. It buys you more time into the evening in one illusion of time. Fall is her favorite season as well. Yeah, us too. We both like autumn as it's coming on, and it's not for pumpkin spice flavor.
They are killing that.
But that's not the only reason.
And I'm sorry, I did not need Halloween to come out right after 4th of July. It just was not necessary. You know, I mean, I love Halloween. I mean, I think of all my holidays, that's probably my favorite just because it's different and weird and all that good stuff.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't need to see it year round.
Yeah, you see Christmas and Halloween get shown almost year round. You're right.
Yeah. And it's just marketing. And it's like, well, really, are you really getting that much more purchasing or are you just dragging the purchasing out more for longer?
I think a salesperson has pitched it at them a little. It was one of the dollar stores that are out there. Like 2 years ago, I saw Valentine's end cap display in November. And I was like, of course, the rest of the store was Christmas, and a little bit of Hanukkah, and a little bit of Thanksgiving, but it actually had a Valentine's display, and I was like, that beats all.
Well, you know, I drove by a shopping center in Greensboro a few weeks ago. It was in July, and they already had the pop-up Halloween store open.
Yeah, they're trying to cycle you through and recruit you early for sales.
Yeah. Really,
for sure.
So,
welcome everyone that's listening in the future as well on podcast and our aggregators, Spotify, iTunes, and so on. Welcome to our regulars in the show tonight, and any newcomers, please feel free to type hello or how are you, or I'm here, or whatever you want in the chat or comments on YouTube or Facebook. And let us know you're here because we don't know you're here unless you tell us that you're here.
We're lonely.
Please let me know you exist. We understand some of our personal friends are voyeurs. They watch us, but they don't comment.
Yeah, it's like, you know, because I don't like to shove it in people's faces. And I was talking to one of our friends a few weeks ago, and I said, she brought up a topic, and I said, "Oh, we talked about that on this show, but I don't know if you saw it." And she goes, "I watch it every week." And I said, "You've never commented." And she was like, "I thought you knew."
Oops.
I said, "No, we don't know because we can't go to the Facebook and the YouTube page because we're in another zone on
Dimension.
another." Yeah.
Dimension. The technology we have does not include showing us names of who's online.
We can see the chat when you comment, the
Oh,
chat comes in, but other than that,
you're anonymous to us.
yeah. We're just doing this for our own health. I mean,
For sure, for sure.
we pretend you're out there even if you're not.
Well, because you might see us in rerun.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. You just might. You just might.
Of course, the
So,
weirdest thing that happened to me was going through the airport and Lisa yelling at me. And I was in Charlotte, which is 2 hours away from me, and I at least I honestly don't know where you are homed, but I'm going through the airport randomly, taking a flight out, and I hear somebody call my name, and I'm like, "Who knows me?" And she recognized me from the podcast. I'm like, "Holy cow, I'm a celebrity now."
yep.
Yeah, she's watched our podcast. You want to know what our podcast is?
Claim to fame in the airport. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, she's real
Yeah.
weird.
Been
Yeah,
weird.
it was
Well,
weird.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for
Mhm.
sure.
But, yeah.
Tonight's topic
Oh,
required
yeah.
some digging and research that was fascinating as well.
It's little things we've heard
Piracy.
about that we wanted to know more about too, so
Right, right.
yeah, so we called it clones. Copy that. What are they? Where are they? Who are they? Are they real? We're going to talk about the rumors and stories that abound, and it's gaining momentum. So it's interesting to see what's coming out about clones, and I guess we can start with one of the things is that I thought would be interesting is first of all there's a lot more movies about clones than maybe you remember or think about. One of my favorites is an oldie
Well,
called Multiplicity. Uh-huh.
they don't use the word clone, so the
Yeah,
association doesn't click in. But
yeah, but
multiplicity
multiplicity,
is
well,
great
sometimes they
one.
do, but it's so subtle that you don't really think about it. But multiplicity with Keaton, Michael Keaton, and Andy McDowell was hysterical. Overworked guy. He goes out and he says, I've got." He finds out about this man who clones, and it's like an industry, and it's set like in modern times. But this man has his little business where he clones people, scientists, and he starts thinking about it and he goes, "Wow, this is cool. I could use the help because I'm just stressed between family and work. And if I could have more time for my family, I'd love it." So he gets cloned and it's this really macho version of himself and he takes over the construction business. So he's thinking, great, I've got it on easy street. Well, then he starts getting overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done around the house. So he decides to clone himself again and he gets a guy who's more effeminate. So it's like different versions of himself. Well, then those two guys have so much to do that they clone and they make a copy of a copy, is what they end up doing. And that guy, you can see him in the picture. He's got the aviator glasses and it's
In the back.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy. And Lisa, I see your comment. She said she should have asked for autograph when she was at the airport.
We might have another opportunity for you in March. More info as it comes. Stay tuned. Keep
Yes.
going, Iris.
There's been some more some other ones like, well, first of all, Jurassic Park. Everybody knows the story of Jurassic Park where they clone the dinosaurs and we can see what happens with that. There's another one that is
And do
interesting.
that. Yeah.
I've caught this one a couple of times and it's called the Island. And it's funny because every time I watch it, like I'll forget and I'm going, I've seen this, but I can't remember the outcome. And then when I see it, it's like, holy cow, you got these people living in what they feel like is a post apocalyptic environment. They're underground for their own safety. And they all have the same uniforms, and it's like they get up in the morning and their uniforms magically appear in a drop box in their little apartment area, and they go down to the cafeteria and they're kind of scanned as they go through, and it's like, oh, no bacon for you today because your cholesterol's too high, and things like that. They're and they just kind of go along with it, and they're working these jobs that they don't really understand what they're doing.
Tubes of
It's
fluid going through that they maintain. Yeah.
yeah, and things like that. And so and they're discouraged from forming relationships, although they want them to be friendly with each other. But and this guy and girl sort of start getting closer, but they're constantly they're being broken apart. No fraternizing and that kind of thing. But what the big thing is, every so often they'll announce we're having a drawing today for trips to the island, and the people that are able to go to the island, they show them like this great Bali looking type place, and they're getting out, and it's the one place they can go, but population's limited, so only so many people can go until other people die off, kind of thing. So they get all excited when the drawings come, and then their names are called, and they're all excited. Everybody's cheering, "Yeah, you get to go!" And off they go, and they never see them again. What they find out is they are clones of people living on Earth to be,
On the surface, people living on
yeah,
the
people
surface.
on the surface, yeah, because they're underground. And they're the clones for so that the people on the surface can have, they pay money so they'll have somebody if they need an organ transplant or blood donation or whatever. And so then when their clone comes topside, the clone is harvested and killed off, and whatever's left over goes
Yeah,
back through
body
the tubes for
harvesting.
nutrition. Yeah.
Right.
So
Kidneys,
that one's
eyeballs, blood, arms, limbs, yeah, lungs, whatever.
exactly. So that's kind of an interesting concept and pulls in a couple of things that we've talked about with living underground and that sort of thing. This one, a guy, he's sitting with his clone, and it's Sam. I can't think of his last name, Hargrove maybe, or something like that. Anyway, he finds out he's working on the moon, and the company that put him there, I can't remember what his job is. He's doing something maintaining.
He's a maintenance guy.
Yeah, he's a maintenance guy on the moon in his own little pod, living all by himself, and he's got his daily routine, and he does stuff, and he checks in and that sort of thing. Well, what he doesn't realize is, in the past, people would die, and then they have to pay to send somebody up, and they realize they just put a storage of clones under the floor, and when something happens to one, they activate another. And this guy finds out by accident too soon that he has a clone, and kind of freaking out that he's a clone and he's got a clone and all this other stuff. So that's an interesting one, how that
What's
comes
that one
about.
called? What's the name?
Moon.
Moon.
Yes.
Moon. Okay.
And then there, of course, another one that has got lots of funny crap in it is I should, sixth day, the sixth day, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they put him on a machine like this and do an eye scan, and what that does is it copies your
Retina DNA.
yeah, and your memory, it up to that point.
Your brain. Yeah, your memory
Yeah.
patterns. Yeah,
And
files.
it puts it on a disc, and then they can clone you and slap it back in, and you don't even know you've been cloned. And
Yeah, and it's
he
in their lip or something. Yeah.
it's actually in their eye. They have a
On
dot,
their
and they
eye,
can tell
they
what
pull it down.
generation clone they are.
Yeah, yeah. The cut number of glowing dots under your eyelid. Yeah.
Right. And the whole thing is, it was a company that was experimenting with animal cloning, and somebody figured out that they could start doing it with humans, and the CEO or whatever was keeping it secret, but they were doing it with humans. And so, and the whole thing is, what they try to do is, if they when they cloned this guy thinking he had died in an accident, and he didn't. And so the clone gets home and sees himself in the house, and he's going, "What the hell?" And he figures out it's a clone, but it's like, which one is the clone and which one's the real? And so
Right.
then the whole thing ensues. Okay, then we've another one that was really good is
The
the
Fifth
Fifth
Element.
Element. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
the sixth day and the fifth element. The Fifth Element. And she's a clone, and is the fifth element to this thing that's going to save the world. And it's fantastic. Lots of
They show you
uh
what one type of how one type of med bed works with rebuilding body parts, and in her case, it rebuilds all over
and
from
it
a
was
hand.
fascinating.
From a hand, yeah. The special effects are beautiful and fascinating. Yeah.
A couple of others, I didn't get all the screenshots for them, but a couple of others just worth mentioning. One is Oblivion, where it's Tom Cruise, and he lives on Earth where an alien apocalypse occurred, and there's very few humans alive. And what most of them went out into outer space, and he's a drone repairman because they keep up with what's going on Earth through the drones while the people are in outer space. And so he was left on Earth to help repair the drones, and he's fighting aliens. And it turns out he's actually fighting the other humans that were left on Earth, and he's a clone. And
You didn't
that
realize it
kind.
till the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Logan is a movie where, and it's, I can't,
Is that
I
based on
think the guy that
Logan's
played
run?
Wolverine is in it.
Right.
No, not that's not the.
Oh, that's a different one. Yeah, Logan,
Yeah,
the Wolverine. Yeah.
yeah, and it shows
Origin
him
story.
with a little girl, and he's going, "This girl's awful familiar." What he learns is it's a clone of himself that's been altered.
Yeah, they can do
And
that.
it's, yes, and then of
Hmm.
course, don't forget Star Wars with all the stormtroopers are clones.
The Clone
So
Wars. Yeah, yeah. Boba Fett. Boba Fett was replicated over and over and over. The Black Mirror episode called White Christmas explores ethics of cloning for serving one's own original.
thank you, Deborah. Yeah, that's a good. And if anybody has any other examples, yeah, I mean,
I
see,
do.
you're looking at the ethics and what's involved, and
Yeah, the ethics go on and on and on. Here's another one
yeah,
that people don't think about, but it's actually about cloning. It's a comedy called Death Becomes Her, and it's Bruce
mm.
Willis and Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep.
Is that cloning
And
or is that adrenochrome?
both. It's
Yeah.
both. In the plot, he is a cosmetic repair guy for morticians, and he figures out how to do that to, in a long story short, how to do that for living people, more or less. And both of his ex-wives keep getting in car accidents, or they fight with each other and they get a hole blasted through their gut or whatever. And for some reason, they're still, and they tell you why, both women are immortal. So they have to keep coming back to him for repairs. And it's a comedy, it's a dark comedy. And it's called Death Becomes Her. And it gets harder and harder and harder to put them together because they keep massacring each other, blowing each other apart further and further. But it alludes to the organ harvesting and the regeneration that you mentioned from the first movie, that they were actual people thought they were going to the island on a big paradise never to return, and they were actually harvesting them for parts. Well, Death Becomes Her is a soft reveal
Ah.
of that. Yeah, we do have spare parts, and we do reanimate people who should have died otherwise. Yeah.
Um, and I think just to give a little background, we were looking at Dolly the sheep was a big deal back in 1996, and she lived until 2003.
Yeah.
She did have bad arthritis, but she was supposedly the first cloned mammal. What I didn't realize until I did the research is there were 4 more of her created the next year. The same, so she had 4 quote unquote sisters that were all the same. And they also did 9 other sheep
That they didn't
clones.
tell us about, right?
Yeah, that was just kind of like under the radar. And then in December of 2002, there was this UFO sect, some sort of following of some alien group. And so, so that's kind of like they were poking fun at them. But there was this woman who, when you look her up, she sounds very credible. Was a doctor, and she was attesting that Eve was the first cloned baby,
Human.
um, human, and she had been cloned and then put in utero and then was born by C-section to a 31-year-old woman in the US, and that there were 5 others around the world in other countries. That, cattle, mice, and other animals have been cloned. Now, I thought this was interesting. In 2015, it's hard to believe Dolly the sheep has been almost 30 years, 96,
And
2006.
technology moves far enough ahead to show it to the public, much less what's behind the scenes. But what they show to the public advances every 3 to 6 months. So in 30 years, do we want to guess how far cloning has advanced?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yet in 2015, Europe banned animal cloning. And in Germany,
For the general public, not for the powers
right.
that be.
Right. And some of these have the exceptions of, oh, but in research it's okay. But in Germany, no human cloning or embryos can be created. However, in Great Britain, and this is what really messed with my mind, they permit animal eggs and human research of cloning, but cloned babies are not allowed to be born. Now, where does that leave the rights? Yeah. So if they clone and they can do the research and create human embryos, but those embryos are supposed to be destroyed. What are these anti-abortionists or the abortionists pro-abortion? It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, let's look at the
If a
popular.
fetus is a fetus.
Yeah, the most popular source for the purest, most potent drug known to man that we don't get to talk about, but shows up everywhere in soft reveals. By the way, the cartoon movie, animated movie called Turbo, about the snail that could run as fast as and ends up winning the Daytona. He's running against the #1 Daytona racer, a French guy. And you know how they have their sponsors' names down the side of their big fancy cars? Adrenalode, the name of the soda high energy drink that sponsors the bad guy's race car. Adrenalode. And they show commercials of it during the movie, because the snail, loves watching racing on TV. That's how he learns how to race as a race car himself, even though he's a little snail. And he's sipping on a big jar of it, and he makes faces while he's like, "Yeah, let's rush." And it's red.
And that's not an accident. That's not coincidence.
The car, no. Adrenalode is a fake high energy, like Red Bull. Ooh, Red Bull. I just made another, I just made another association there. So I just made another click. But anyway, and when you know about Monster, the 3 claw marks on the label of Monster are actually the Jewish symbol for 666 in their logo, the 3 claw, the 3 claw marks in their. So it just goes on and on and on. Stay away from those high energy fake chemical drinks, folks. Just saying, you might want to make that choice.
Yeah.
You just might want to. But anyway, back to the show. Yeah. Cloning. So Iris, where are we going next?
Well, okay. Yeah, where are we going now? Okay, so just to show, I
We got
guess,
pictures.
yeah, we've got, okay, so what's been going on? There's a couple of things that we've been seeing. One that's very popular. I'll put up Joe Biden. How about that? Well, first of all, let me
Yeah,
put up, I think this is an older. Some people say he's been cloned. And when
the
you
oh
look at these, yeah,
yeah,
the older version of him is on the left, right?
the younger version.
I mean, the younger one of him. I mean, older as an older picture,
The
but
original
younger version.
the original version is on the left, face yeah, with the blue tie, and the current version is on the right with the striped tie,
Yeah,
black and white striped tie. Yeah,
and I don't think we have a well. I've got another picture I'll show, but then I'll make some more comments. But that's a lot of difference.
yeah.
But let's look at, let me move that and show this.
This one,
Well, wait a minute, wrong one. Let me go back. Ah, crap! I think I just lost Margot too. Wait a minute. Hide you. There
I'm
comes Margot.
I'm coming
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
All right. So now let me put Joe on. Okay. One thing that I never realized until I started studying this stuff is ears. Ears, yes, ears
Mm-hmm.
keep growing, but there are hereditary traits of whether your ear is attached to the side of your face, or if it hangs, if the lobe is free hanging. Everybody's ear is just as individual as their thumbprint. And
Yep.
look at how his ear sticks out on one, but doesn't stick out on the other.
There's
Um,
more.
the
Go
shape of
ahead.
his nose,
Yeah.
the mole on his forehead has moved,
Oh,
and
it's
there's
disappeared. Yeah.
more space between his
The
nose and,
philtrum is longer. Yeah, his upper
yeah,
lip is longer. Look at which teeth are showing when he talks and smiles. Upper teeth versus lower teeth.
that doesn't change.
That doesn't change. The one on the left, the Biden 2020. Look at his left and right ear. One's really high and one's really low.
Oh man.
And in the original Biden from 2012, his ears are even. That's another one.
Ah,
The
yeah.
space the space between the eyes. Look at from inside corner to inside corner. It's a lot closer on the left than it is on the right.
Yes.
Also, the left nose is actually, the tip of the nose is actually turned down a little bit, whereas the face on the right, the tip of the nose is actually parallel, and you can start to see the edge of some nostrils
Uh-huh.
underneath. The tip of the nose is slightly higher. The shape of the nose is set slightly higher. And both of these are straight on pictures. He's not lifting or dropping his chin. Also, look at his chin shape. Go down to the
Yeah.
bottom of his chin. He now has a lumpy chin versus a straight edge chin. Back
Unless
in
he bumped it when he fell one of those times.
when he fell off the bicycle.
Yeah. He broke his chin and yeah.
No, this is an excellent side by side comparison, guys. To give you a bit of a frame of, I'm a professional portrait photographer. This is what I do, is study people's faces for enhancement, as in to the tune of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I literally shoot 50,000 images every year for the past 8-9 years. Okay, so that's per year. So yeah, this is my ballywick, is comparing faces and what is a normal human structure and what is not. But the rundown, if you want to, is so and so a clone or is not a clone? There are some basic things that you can look at. Sometimes can look at. You'll understand in a minute about what shows up on a clone. And Iris found one and talked about it, and they show it in the pictures. Earlobes, whether mine's detached, you can see
Yeah.
that, and I think Iris's is too. Yeah, hers is
Yeah.
detached. Other people, it's
It looks like it's stitched down.
yeah, it looks like it's stitched down and it's a whole C shape. So detached versus not detached incorrectly. Another one is birthmarks disappear on the clone. They don't show up. Left hand and right-handedness switch sometimes. Here's flat feet. They don't have arches in their feet. They settle out really quick. One that's harder to find unless you know somebody is their genitalia no longer look like normal genitalia. They tend to be flatter, smoother, less detailed than a natural human.
Like
down
Ken
there.
dolls.
Yeah, like a Barbie doll or a Ken doll. Or maybe just a tiny little semblance of it rather than, a whole set of flesh down there. And another typical one is that you see in the news is sudden psychotic breaks. Apparently, clones, some of the best made clones degenerate after 3 years. And their neural synapses are one of the first things to go. They have an implant, apparently, the high-end ones. There are cheap-end clones and there are high-end clones, by the way. The high-end ones have an implant like a microchip behind their ear, and they can monitor their health and see when they're degrading. But a sudden psychotic break and bizarre, strange behavior spontaneously that doesn't stop is another sign of a possible clone, including a weird behavior of suddenly freezing and or stuttering. Iris, can you show them the one of Mitch McConnell?
Yes, let me.
Did you hang? I
thought I had it up and I don't. Let me go back to it. Wait a minute.
There's a video that shows somebody touching him. Is that the one we're gonna roll?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Give me just a second here. Screen share. I'll set
it up a little bit for us. Mitch McConnell is a famous politician. If that's not your thing, he's a very famous, very powerful politician. That the rumor is he's not working for the right side or the good guy. He's not working for the good guys, and is the rumor. And he's speaking in public at a podium by himself, more or less. There's 2 or 3 people right behind him. And he's been doing this for decades. He's an older guy, much older guy. And some lady, an aide or a secretary or something comes up and touches his sleeve. And his reaction is weird.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to. I was trying to make it bigger, and that's not working. So let me just go down. Okay. So go back. Okay.
It's okay.
Dang it. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So
the lady in green. Watch what happens.
And a string of.
We'll do it again.
Watch. Yeah. And the guy behind him reacts weird
too. This week has been good bipartisan cooperation. And a string of.
She taps him again and he starts back up. Okay.
Yeah.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation.
Let me get back over to ours and stop that.
And a string of.
There we go. Yeah.
Stopped. All right. And that's apparently typical of some of the high-end clones. They just freeze up like that. And there's tons of video footage of famous people that are reportedly clones doing weird shit like that. Yeah, Angela said she saw that one. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
She touched him somewhere on his arm.
I want to show this as well. It's on X, which is Twitter. And let's just look at this guy.
Because you originally were born in Jersey?
Yeah. Originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. That's why you see the celebrity bursts say I'm born in Toronto, but that's false. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonate in Canada.
So then you ended up in South Florida?
Yeah.
So you were actually raised by a single mother?
Yeah, that's true. Our mom,
okay.
Single.
Where was your father around during that time?
I don't know. Like I said, a lot of the memories from Clonade were erased just so that way the new gen can move forward with whatever new programming was made.
What do you think was some of the hardest things you dealt with growing up?
Witnessing friends' lives get taken.
What was that like being a teenager and suddenly seeing all that death around you?
I didn't really feel anything. I didn't even go to a lot of the funerals. I would just go to the wake and then just go and then leave. Because if you let it, I feel like if you let it bother you, it's something that happens every day. It's kind of the norm.
So this is a rapper that came out, and there's a longer interview available on YouTube. But I want to show
Kevin Hart.
Because this is him again. I know it's hard to see. Let me see if I can make it any bigger. Yeah. Same guy.
You want me to do this? Yeah, fuck that shit. Go ahead. What y'all gotta say now? You see him? We got the same tattoos, same hair, same genetic structure. Here, do my clone. Go ahead. What do you gotta say now? I mean, I'll wait all day.
Don't know why he got brave enough to actually show that, but interesting when it's right there in front of your face. And then I want to go back.
Star of the new film Central Intelligence, joining us now. How do you do it? I look on Twitter, there you are. Facebook, there you are. Television, there you are. How do you do it?
I have a clone.
I was going to say that. There's two of you.
Cat's out the bag. Okay, it's about a good 3 of me. We broke it. They didn't want to release it yet. This is major news that I'm giving you.
All right.
I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned.
Okay. I appreciate it.
That's why I'm able to do all that I do.
All right.
Not really. Actually, you will. You will get it. Because I now have a clone. And that clone does all of my music. And then I, have another clone for acting. I'm not going to tell you if it's me or not, or what the name is.
They're making music right now, right?
Yeah, they're in the studio right now. And I just feel so humbled and just super, super blessed to be able to be doing anything, and doing something like this. It's like you don't take it lightly. Yeah.
Do you have a clone yet, Daniel?
Maybe. They are. They're not as useful as Janelle's clone.
Your eyes are not as.
So, yeah, I want to take that down for just a minute and just talk.
No worries. People,
yeah,
you can find more. You can watch more of yourself online. That's all.
Yeah.
Not
and Angela
stuff.
says there's some clips of Al Roker and Eminem glitching as well. Yeah, it's really.
They call it glitching. Thank you for bringing that word forward. Yeah, Angela, it's called glitching when people freeze up or get psychotic or start stuttering and repeating or start turning in circles. Yeah.
Do you remember in the movie The Stepford Wives? The second version, it was more humorous, done more humorously. And these women, rather than being cloned, they had inserts, circuit board added to their brain or whatever that made them more docile and that sort of thing. But one of them was played by Faith Hill, and hers gets knocked out of whack, and she starts doing she's like at a dance or something. She's like, da, 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 da. She can start spinning and all this. And the women are going, what is going on? The women who haven't been surgically changed yet. But it almost reminds me of that when I see these things happen with other people. It's like something's going on.
Yeah, that's part of the soft reveal that, just overlook this behavior. It's just funny. It's just cute. Yeah. Yeah, it's just somebody imitating a movie star. It's not a big deal. Overlook. Don't pay attention. Yeah. Glitches, Matrix glitches right there, baby.
And I did want to show, let me go back.
While she's looking that up, the rapper talked about that he was second generation, and that he was made in Canada at a place called Clonade. And the scuttlebutt, even for rollout of that, is apparently there are at least 12 clone labs, and that's what they call them, labs, laboratories in the United States. One of them is reportedly in Alabama. I haven't heard about where the other 11 are, but apparently these 12 labs are where they make heads of state clones, such as presidents, congressmen, advisors, and so and ambassadors and past presidents and stuff like that. So yeah, there's at least 12 labs, reportedly in the United States alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to show in this is these were comments on the reels that we just watched. And this one is supposedly at some sort of like convention.
Real.
Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to Psychosec. Can I
A
answer your
convention of some
question?
sort, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not
we're a company that produces
quality.
100% organic human sleeves.
These
You're probably
guys-
wondering what's a human sleeve. Well, if you gather around, I can let you know what we do here in full details. So here at Psychosec, we've been able to achieve true immortality by taking your human consciousness and storing it on a device called a cortical stack. It's implanted in the base of your neck, and it collects and stores everything that makes you you. Every memory, every emotion, every sensation, everything you've ever experienced gets stored on this little device. You can see it here on the screen that's about to come up. You guys just follow me. All the information is stored on this device and can be digitally transferred from one sleeve that you currently occupy into the sleeve of your choosing.
Sleeves are basically human bodies we grow in our labs. They're organically real. Bones, tissue, organs, everything. These are the best bodies you'll ever have, period. Nothing can hurt these bodies, but they are human. So if something were to happen to them, you can always change them out for a new one. That's why it says immortality becomes...
So here she's talking about doing the same thing that
50 in
we
one
saw
body
in
and
this
change to the
movie.
next body. Yeah.
And then it goes
You
on.
can either have the sleeve that you have right now, or we have a selection of wonderful sleeves that we have made through Psychosec.
They call the replacement bodies sleeves.
Now, if you'd like to be taller, shorter, skinnier, if you'd like to have better vision, maybe strength in your body, you have the choice to choose a man or a woman's.
So anyway, but what I wanted to share about that is that's very interesting. It looks very real. Somebody's took a camera in there and they're at this trade show. But what I pointed out to Margot is there's no comments under it. There's no explanation of where this came from. So there is stuff that comes out sometimes that when you start digging, you find out it was like
a movie clip.
A movie clip that was, or the background, like somebody taking background footage. Like the movie clip would be much better, but this was somebody behind the camera kind of getting, or maybe they're doing a rehearsal and they're getting a movie clip during the rehearsal, or that it was staged for some reason, maybe for some
student project, a student film project or something. Yeah.
Right. So without explanation or without a lot of deep diving and trying to find the same clip elsewhere, I say that's where my reservations come in. Now I can look at the pictures of Biden and look at multiple pictures of him and go, there is something going on. There is something going on. But with that, when you're seeing all these comments, it's just something I kind of keep in the back of my mind and then see if more evidence pops up. So you still question everything because you don't know,
I've got some more popular rumors about clones that are interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another popular story that I heard was about the Bushes, the first George Bush and the second George Bush. According to this, the second George Bush was in term, both of them were. The second George was in office for 2 terms. 2 years into his first term, him and his wife died in an airplane accident in Canada, and their clones were immediately put into service, and that's who was running the show since then. All right, now that was back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, yeah. And when was Dolly the sheep revealed to us?
She was 96.
Yeah. So if all of that's true, that throws off the timeline a little bit. We're only doing sheep. Sheep shit. Bullshit on top of sheep shit. So that's one theory. The other thing is, if you think about world security terrorism, how easy it is to get at somebody that's popular and famous, especially. And you can see the Hollywood people, the music industry people have already plugged into this concept of you make clones because your existence is valuable and it's necessary in an immediate death situation to keep your role going in a national security situation, such as the Orange Man. Captain T, Mr. T is another way of people saying his name. Apparently, the rumor mill is that he has at least 3 clones that he puts in front of the camera. And considering how many people want him dead out there, both good guys and people who are asleep and bad guys and stuff like that, all factions, not everybody has the same agenda. It makes sense that they would put a body double or a clone or a lookalike actor in his place. However, the rumor is that there's 3 main clones of Trump, and you can see them, the difference, by the color of their hair. One of them has silver hair, one of them has gold hair, and one of them has a reddish, yellow, orange hair. And people that are in truther groups that follow the T-Man and Trump and all that good stuff around, the Orange Man around, they equate his hair color with being part of his secret message. Silver hair means something, gold hair means something, red hair or orange hair means something else. And they take that, they read into that. So it's interesting. Don't know the validity of that, but he's another famous person that is that's a little more seen. And if you look at a lot of pictures of Trump, eventually you get a feel for not even the hair color. You can see other differences from clone to clone, such as the original looks the most aged. He's got the hardest ages. He's got the deepest wrinkles. And his body posture is more like this, whereas the others are more upright and their faces are a little bit smoother. However, those things can be changed with girdles and back straighteners and physical therapists and coaches and speech coaches, and also lighting. You bring your lighting down instead of overhead, bring it straight on or straight up. Suddenly you look young and fresh and those wrinkles don't appear. So, lighting tricks, camera tricks, staging tricks can make that happen too, which is a part of what we wanted to talk about. Is there's a lot of information and misinformation about cloning and what is and what isn't. Like Iris pointed out, reiterating, do the research, find out where a report is coming. If you really want to invest in unbelieving or understanding something, find out where it came from before you completely believe it.
Yeah. I thought this was interesting because everybody's been talking about Jamie Foxx lately. And this is the picture where his skin's a little darker is a picture when he was, not too long ago.
When he was healthy.
Yeah, when he was healthy. And then now he's not as healthy. And we understand, yeah, he was very sick, but people are like, well, how sick was he? Did he die? A lot of the shape of his face, nose, ears is
it's
different.
Changed too much. Yeah. Can I rattle through this one?
Yes, do.
Quick? Guys, look at the beard. Part of his beard is gone on the left side. All right. Also, his beard is turning gray. That does not happen that fast on the left side. The shape of his nose, again, look at the angle of the tip, the location of the nose tip versus relative to the nostrils. In the right side, you can see more nostril on the right side, whereas on the left side, the nose is turned down a little bit more. Also, the space between the eyes, the inner corner of his eyes is much wider on the pale left side of the screen. The shape of his face has changed as well. If you can see from his hairline back, his skull in the younger, older, darker picture, his skull actually expands from the hairline to his ears, and you can actually get a little bit of side angle of his haircut, of his beautiful fade in that picture. The picture on the left, that skull is much more narrow. It's not as round. It's much more shaped like an eggplant rather than rounder like a tomato.
His neck looks shorter in the left picture too. I mean, I know some of that's because of the open shirt, but even when you look like from the edge of the collar to his chin, there's more space.
The jaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jaw shows you that his neck is the jaw fits the neck in both pictures. How the hell did his bone jaw suddenly get narrow enough to be in alignment with that narrow neck?
Yeah.
Excellent catch, Iris. And then another one has to do with his skin color. I'm not African American by descent, but I've taken a lot of photos, and that's all I can say. But about skin color, I understand the man was sick and in the hospital and near death. Honestly, that is too far a departure completely. Like everyone else, I've seen people of color get sick, get washed out, get embarrassed, and their skin color changes, obviously. And, when people age and when they're newborns and so on. It rarely happens to the whole face, all the way around the eyes, back to the ears. Even his ears are pale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all the way down to his neck. No, it's when people blanch out or redden up. I mean, white people do this too. It gets blotchy. You're blotchy. You have patches of paleness and color and redness and whiteness and whatever. It's not a uniform color like that usually. Now I can't I can't verify that happens. Maybe somebody does turn completely pale from on every millimeter of skin, even their ears and neck or under their nose and so on. But that is extremely pale compared to his original deep, beautiful mahogany gold oak color that he was before.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Angela, that he doesn't feel alive. His energy doesn't feel alive, which is another interesting question is, okay, by default, for conversation's sake, if clones do exist, do they have souls? What happens when they die? Are they connected to source/spirit/God? Or what? And there's a lot of debate about, well, if clones do exist, and maybe they have been for decades a part of our culture, what are they on a spiritual plane? For starters, there's a lot of talk about that clones don't always know that they are clones. It's possible, in other words, if you extrapolate that further, one of us could be a clone, including you. You wouldn't necessarily know it. By design. They usually don't want you to know you're a clone. However, as you can see from the commentary, some clones do know. Another popular theory is not having an individual soul, but being oversouled as a group, such as animals, birds, a whole flock of birds. They are oversouled with one soul. and dozens and dozens of tiny bodies. How you can see witness of that is when a flock of birds flies and the birds in the front are changing direction, several dozen back, even thousands, and you can see, across the tundra of Africa, and so birds flying in gigantic groups of hundreds of thousands, and they all know exactly when to turn, when to cut, when to go down. Magpies do this a lot because they have one consciousness, which is an oversoul. Your consciousness is considered your soul in these diatribes about it. So your higher self, your consciousness, your soul are different words for all the same thing. So there's another theory that some clones are oversouled with a group, or they're oversouled in a group with the original. So they have access, but not this to spiritual awareness and spiritual gifts, so to speak, or properties, but not the same way an individual soul is. And then there's a theory that souls have no soul, and that they're biomechanical machines is all they are.
Well, and James Fink talked about, he says he's a clone and
James
knows
Rink.
he's Rink,
Yeah.
not Fink. No, James.
That's all right.
James Rink talked about that he's a clone. He's been cloned several times, and he says that they extract and duplicate his consciousness,
which would mean that they're imbuing him with a sense of soul.
Yeah,
with a soul connection. That sounds like some really complicated contracting before you were born to allow that kind of divvying up of your soul. However, remember how they reveal everything ahead of time before they actually do it? Gee, what's it called in Harry Potter? And the Horcruxes can be made by splitting your soul into pieces, and in the Harry Potter series, you can put your soul into objects or other people, so that if one person dies, your soul still exists in an object or another person because you gave them a piece of your broken, split soul. Now, in the Harry Potter version, you have to commit a murder to get a soul split going, to get a chunk to come off. Don't know if that detail is necessarily true, but it wouldn't surprise me, as dark as that stuff gets sometimes.
Well, and we do that, and I mean, not everybody believes this, but when you're in a relationship with people, whether it's family, you're living with somebody, or it's a partnership relationship, you are subconsciously or ethereally exchanging soul fragments.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like when somebody takes a little piece of your heart, those types of things,
that's what that expression
where that comes
means.
from. Yeah. And so then when and that's something I've done with several people is soul retrieval, because we don't always know to claim those soul fragments back, and you want them to come back to you cleaned off. You don't want other people's crap all over it, and you also want to get rid of the soul fragments that you don't need anymore, for whatever reason. If you had an old boyfriend in high school, what are you doing carrying around part of that soul fragment? And so
Yeah.
but sometimes people subconsciously hold on to those relationships. Oh, I'll always remember my first love and all that stuff. Well, yeah, and if you want to pine over it all your life, hold on to that soul fragment. But if you don't, let's get rid of that and send it on back so the person can have it back.
It becomes dead weight when you hang on to them. Yeah,
exactly. And that's where a lot of that comes from is those exchanges.
So this concept, so you're absolutely right. This concept is pretty universal among belief systems. Right now, we've just talked about without specifically Native American beliefs, pagan beliefs, New Age beliefs. There's tons of them. Ways to express the souls,
and country song ways,
in music ways and movie ways that souls can. There's a popular theory that souls can be fractured. There is a popular teaching that you can fracture your own soul with yourself on purpose. In other words, in terms of percentage, you can send just 1% of your soul into the next incarnation to learn about being a human while your consciousness also stays on the higher plane and continues to be learning, or a wise one, or an instructor, or a teacher, or a participant, or whatever, on the ethereal planes, while a percentage of you experiences a human life, or 2 or 12 or 15 or 20 million, however many times you want to send pieces of your soul out to all the existences that you are. Another way to express that is multidimensionality, the fact that multiple yous exist in different dimensionalities, not all of them, but in several that you signed up for. Well, your soul is connected to all of those. And so a percentage or a piece of your soul is still connected to the source, but it is a type of splitting rather than fracturing away. It's like splitting a hair, or splitting a ribbon into more threads. And you're connected to all of those. Is that also not an expression of the word oversouled? All these little pieces are actually a part of a bigger soul? Does that make
It's kind of like being 2-ply toilet paper.
Yeah. Are you the front half or the back half? Are you the original or are you not the original? But the split we're talking about, all of them are the original. So there's more than one way to do this. Just like there's more than one way to cook bread, or there's more than one way to paint a painting, and you still end up with a beautiful result. Well, yeah, there's probably more than one way to split up a soul.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, I think we're kind of at a good stopping point.
Yeah, we have rolled through this hour. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us for the fun. Iris, what do we got next week?
We have the meaning of holding space. What is it? What are you doing? And what does it mean to different people, and all that good stuff. So
how to do it, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So
tips and tricks on how to do it.
And we appreciate y'all joining us this evening and sticking with us, and hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back next week for more and other good stuff coming up. So yeah, stay tuned.
Stuff coming. Stay tuned. Love you guys.
Good night. Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.